What's going on, everyone? Today I'm working on getting my belt set up, figured out, and actually I've been working on that for like the last week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. I've had probably 6 different belt sizes from Napa Auto Parts, and every single one of them had to come from outside of the store here locally, so I've been at it a while. And unfortunately, one of the things I'm figuring out is that at least in the Gates products or whatever it is that Napa sells, they don't have the right size belt for the way I want to run my serpentine setup. And as you can see, that's just with the alternator, the water pump, and the crankshaft. And the reason why I don't have a tensioner in here is because it's just one more thing that I don't really think needs to be there. I'm gonna make some modifications to the alternator mounting bracket, and I'm gonna come up with a way to get some adjustment out of it there, and that's where we'll tension it. So what I'm working on right now, obviously I couldn't get the correct size belt. It was really strange. It jumped from something that was way too short to something that was too long, and the difference in belt size was 7/8 of an inch. So those belts are something else. But essentially what I'm doing here is putting tension on the belt that I could get that was the closest without being too long. And that length is 47 3/4. I do have a 12 valve fluid dampener on here. It's a regular water pump, and it's a stock alternator. And so essentially what I'm trying to figure out here is, with the right amount of tension on the belt, which I'm creating with a ratchet strap, how much am I gonna have to lengthen this bracket? And it's looking like it's about 2.5 inches, I think. I've scribed the mark on here where I'm gonna cut it. It's 1 3/4 back from the original mounting hole. And we're just gonna cut it on the bandsaw. All right, we got the bracket cut in half, nice and square. We got our patch piece made up. We're gonna go ahead and end the first side and line it up with our joints on this, and we'll go from there. Spoiler alert, well, I kind of jumped right to the end, but it was a pretty easy project. We're gonna go ahead and throw it on there and see if it does what we need it to do. All right, there you have it. It's got very good belt tension, and this is still a new belt, so it's probably gonna stretch out just a tad bit, and I think will be perfect. But one more thing off the list. Come on, everyone. Today we're gonna be working on getting the steering column mounted to the firewall, and we're gonna do that with our I Did It firewall steering wall mount, firewall steering column mount. And this is what that is. Basically creates a pass-through area for your steering column. It's got a set screw to tighten it in there, and it makes it look real nice and pretty once it's installed. So the first thing we've got to do is remove the steering column here, and we're going to take a template of this area here that we're going to replace, and we'll get that cut out of paper, and then we'll lay out where we want the steering column mount to sit, and we'll go ahead and get that circle cut out, and then we'll drill the holes for the mounting bolts, and then hopefully we'll get it tacked in, and we'll move on to the next piece of the puzzle. Okay, so basically we're going to be removing from just below the brake hydro boost mount, and then we're going to follow this body line down along the edge here, and we'll go down this way some and come around here, and that's the area we're going to be patching. Oh, here was our finished paper template. Here's the finished product, and I went ahead and marked out on the firewall already where we're going to be cutting in order to glue this piece in here just like that. So we'll go ahead and get this line cut out, and hopefully this piece goes in nice and smooth. All right, we got the patch panel all tacked in and everything is looking pretty good. Got the steering column mounted. What's left to do is drop the body back down and see how much of this we're gonna have to trim to clear the starter, and then we can move on with filling in that last bit of hole and jump over to this big bit of hole. All right, check it out. Steering column's all connected, and I didn't even need to add like a support with a uniball or anything like that. Should be sitting pretty solid here once we tighten up those set screws. Also went ahead and got power steering hoses made for the hydro boost and the steering rack, and I have everything to make the low pressure side too, so moving right along on that front. Next thing to do now is, like I said, finish that firewall up. You can totally see how it's clipping our starter now, so we'll go ahead and get that marked out and trimmed out. We're making some progress. I'm kind of having to piecemeal it together a little bit because we're going around the starter and space in this area is really tight. I need to fit a gas pedal in there somewhere as well, and I didn't want it interfering with the brake pedal travel, so it's going to be a very interesting shape, but we're almost there. Okay, I went ahead and took a paper template of this area and came up with a rough idea of what I wanted to do. I went ahead and ran the piece back into the tunnel because that gave me the clearance that I needed for the end of the starter, and I think it's going to help with some clearance for our gas pedal as well. And yeah, that's basically where we're at. I'm gonna lift the body off and create a patch for that little hole there, and we'll be done with this side, at least with the tack welding part of it. All right, so I'm jumping over to the passenger side of the firewall now that we've got the driver's side pretty much wrapped up. And the first thing I did was take a piece of paper and tape it onto what was left of the firewall, and I went inside and traced out the line where it's going to meet up with the old firewall, and now I'm going to remove it and kind of cut it out to shape. All right, I've got a good portion of the passenger side firewall blocked off. All we really have left to do is go from the transmission tunnel to the firewall, and we should be done. It's pretty rough still, got a lot of grinding to do, but came together pretty nice. That's the only piece we need now, so let's see. Alright, well, we'll get started on this. Working on the last piece of the puzzle to our transmission tunnel, this hole right here, and I thought I had something pretty good drawn up with my template, but I was going to be able to make it look kind of similar to the other side. And I've been working it with the metal, and it's just not really coming out the way I'd like it to, so I decided I'm going to split it into two pieces. And I've got my first template right here. We're going to cover this section first, and then we'll just finish it with a little connecting piece over to the tunnel there. It won't look as nice as the driver's side, but that's okay. I don't sit over here anyway. All right, well, we got the small piece in place. I could have probably just made this whole thing out of one piece, honestly, but too late for that now. So all we're gonna do now is create a piece that covers that gap, and then we can lift the body off of this chassis, roll the chassis outside, and finish weld all this, and then we can start cleaning it all up with the grinder. Well, that does it. We're officially hole free on the firewall. Well, except for all these other ones for the AC and crap that I gotta patch still, but we got a tunnel and we got most of a firewall. So now I am gonna remove the transmission tunnel still. I made sure not to weld it in any places except for 3 tack welds to the dash. So I'll cut those, remove it, and we're gonna go to town on these corners with my planishing hammer and see if we can't figure that thing out a little bit better, and also make this surface look a little better. So now that we got everything covered up, we can go ahead and lift, like I said before, lift the body up and roll the chassis outside. Roll the chassis outside. But I'll probably save that for tomorrow because I don't want to leave it sitting outside too much while it's still cold and damp. So we'll get to that first thing tomorrow. I'll catch you guys later. All right, well, I decided I couldn't wait, and we're just gonna push it out now and get started on grinding those welds. Oh, a little heavy. Oh, maybe not. One-handed. Yeah, sick. All right, first time that's seen the light of day. See, I got the fuel lines all hooked up. Gotta do the brake lines next. Come up with a filler neck for the fuel tank. Dump some diesel in this thing. Start it. All in good time.